Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't. Great to have you here this week. I'm back. I'm not Tookie. I'm not Dave. They are. Psych. It is very nice to be here. We are pre-recording, so if you have fun comments, know that we'll get to them a little bit later. You can probably tell that from the soft sunlight that is now beaming down on all of our faces like we are all less worthy Barbra Streisands. It's great. It's nice. We're posting this because we got other things going on. Hopefully you're enjoying this right after watching Dave's concert. And yeah, I mean, I guess we're pre-recording it, so it'll drop at 8:30, but people can just kind of watch at their leisure. Do you say leisure or leisure?
I think I say leisure. I like that, but I would say leisure suit.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Rocky was on last night, and I feel like no one gives enough credit to Smokin' Joe Frazier rocking the lime green leisure suit when he makes the appearance at the beginning of the last fight.
Someone let a man
outstanding.
They let a grown man walk out the house in lime green?
Tookie, I'm telling you, it sounds awful. I look at it and I'm like, those need to be back.
Okay.
Joe Frazier wears the bejesus out of that leisure suit. It looks fantastic on him.
There is something thrilling about like I watched a little bit of some of the clips of the MTV Awards, and so like this, I've been thinking about this today. There's something really thrilling about a grown man wearing something really, really colorful, in a way that I find infuriating watching like children wear something as like ostentatious as that. And that was my experience like consuming the MTV stuff because I'm a cranky old man. But like watching children, like it looks like they're just playing dress up. But when Joe Frazier comes out in that suit, I'm like, yeah. You know, when speaking of Frazier, when Clyde Frazier wears something spectacular, I'm always delighted. But if he was like 22 and recording a duet with Billie Eilish, I would probably dislike it.
Yep. There's something about someone who's lived a life and made some choices based on that life, and he's wearing them.
I get it. I'm not currently a fan of like the whole, rappers with weird colored hair and face tattoos and who mumble rap. Not for me.
Face tattoos is different. Tattoos in general is different. I fear for this tattoo generation. It's your body, make your choice. But as we talk about leisure suits, as we talk about the fashion styles that used to be there, what if you had to get your parachute pants removed with a laser? Would you feel differently?
Ooh.
Would you make all the same choices?
I'm just picturing the
if
James
your mullet
Bond
had to be chemically peeled off. Would you still have had it?
I'm really excited about the idea of like lasering off parachute pants. That to me sounds like perhaps the best uninvented video game.
That's the worst iteration of Operation I can think of.
That would be great. We should get an 80s version of Operation done where you just have to remove like a swatch watch and then another swatch watch. And you got to get, the Converse sneakers removed off the bottom. That would be a great Operation. Hasbro, talk to us. We're right here. We're an idea factory.
We are up for sale.
All right. I love that we were talking about how we had to make sure that we kept this under an hour. And this is how we've spent the first 4 minutes. Just all quality time. Speaking of quality time, a quality episode of Cheers this week. I'm so happy to be back in season 3. Everything feels right with the world. Frazier is just killing it right away. The storylines are great. The tension between Sam and Diane is percolating again. It's really, really good. I'm so happy to be back with season 2, episode 3. I Call Your Name. I'm only going to use the title of the show probably once because we're all thinking of Call Me By Your Name, which feels a little bit weird. Was I the only one every time I was going to say the title of this episode just automatically said Call Me By Your Name?
Yeah, I think you were. Yes.
Okay. It was such a cultural touchstone, like for 2 years ago. Call Me By Your Name. It took you. Did you notice that in comedy clubs, like Call Me By Your Name got like spot referenced a lot?
You know, it here and there, but I think I tuned a lot of that out because I was more or less searching for someone who could make a good premise out of putting some stank on Timothée Chalamet's name. Like you really have to put some sauce on it when you say it. You can't have that many accents over E's without, a little bit of stank. A little
Don't
bit of
put on
something.
airs, Chalamet.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Dave, what was happening in the world when I Call Your Name premiered in October of '84?
Well, it premiered on October 25th, and that was the final non-Terminator day in the world as we live it. On the 26th, the Terminator James Cameron's I don't want to say his finest work, but maybe his most important work dropped. Linda, really cementing Schwarzenegger as the cultural force he kind of remains to this day, launching Linda Hamilton's career, launching a occasionally successful film franchise, and really bringing dystopian future to the forefront of the American consciousness. Where, hey, now we live there, so great. Yeah, Terminator launches the day after this episode drops.
Wow.
Has there ever been a film franchise with fewer successful editions than Terminator? The first two are outstanding, and they never made another good one, but they don't stop trying.
It's that second one is so really well made. And so,
Yes.
I mean, the first movie is great. Like it's a classic, and that second film is the rare like heads and shoulders improvement on the original that expands that world out. And yeah, like you could just see like the world that they set up in that second movie, and then they've never been able to even come close to telling another story worth telling.
Nope. The first one was great, and I completely agree. The second one is even better. Just outstanding sci-fi. It feels like we were willing in the second one to go along with the idea of what you think happened there, we're tweaking a little bit. But it all still feels like it's validating what happened in the first movie and the second movie. The rest of them all feel like, hey, remember how emotionally invested you were in what happened in those first two movies? Nothing there mattered. Nothing there actually mattered. And that has been the crucial problem with every attempt at doing another Terminator since then.
I still can't watch Claire Danes in anything without getting mad about Terminator 3.
Aww.
And it's not her fault, but I see her stuck in that shipping container at the end of the movie, and I just get all shivery.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah, 3 might have been the worst, which is saying something. Because they were all bad after that.
I left after 3. I couldn't go back.
Somehow I wound up watching each of the rest of them at different times because I hate myself. And I was like, oh, this is what you deserve, Mike Norvell.
I watched Space Jam 2 because I don't respect myself either. I get it.
Sorry.
Space Jam, I'm sorry, A New Legacy.
Thank you for respecting the IP.
Oh, LeBron. Oh my God. What a hodgepodge of misery Space Jam 2 was. Whew. Anyway, welcome to the last Cheers that existed in a pre-Terminator world.
The undystopian Cheers.
Tookie, tell us about the cold open, if you would, please.
I shall. So we happen upon, how do we say? The scene, the tableau opens with Carla walking into the bar midway through a date that should be going longer rather. And
just
she
like
says,
my dog just walked through the frame.
Hi, dog. And so she says, Eddie, turns out it's not my night off. To which this sad sack, I don't know if he ever comes back on the show, but this very sadly Sackerton of a man says, oh, I wish you would have said something sooner. But Carla says he couldn't hear her say anything over the sound of the Papa band and the sound of him, the sound he makes when he chews bratwurst. Eddie was really looking forward to this date and saying how tickets to the RV show are very hard to come by. So Carla, of course, feigns her regret about not being able to go further into the night with this gentleman and says, Coach, do you like RVs? Would you like to learn about them? Oh, I was meaning to. Well, Eddie, this is Coach. Coach, meet Eddie, and he's got an extra ticket. Are you sure I can go, Carla? Oh, I'll cover for you. Hot dog, says Coach. And Eddie says to Carla, well, I guess that means I'm not going to get a good night kiss. And to which she replies, you might if you're nice to him. And the two, Eddie and Coach, walk off. And Coach says, oh, I can't wait to get there. Do they actually let you walk through those things, being the RVs? And Eddie says, yeah, but you have to take your shoes off. And Coach proceeds to take his shoes off. And in annoyance, Eddie says, not now. Roll credits.
Delightful cold open. Very nice. I don't believe Eddie ever makes an appearance, although she does marry a different Eddie later on, Mr. Eddie LeBeck. But yeah, very fun. Lots of Coach, lots of Carla.
Mitch Crindell plays Eddie, and he does not, according to IMDb, come back. I also want to just shout out that Mitch Crindell is a sort of prototypical Billy Eichner. Like if this was filmed in 2017, Eichner would have gotten the Eddie role.
I see it.
As he should. Outstanding cold open. This is a Peter Casey, David Lee episode, directed, of course, by James Burrows. We got an A story. We've got a B story. The A story, and they're both very clearly defined, which is a nice thing that I feel like happens more in season 3. The A story is really good. So basically, Frasier comes into the bar, or it starts, with Diane being upset with Frasier for something. No one knows why, but she's in a foul mood. After closing, Frasier comes in, has a conversation with Sam, and talks about a patient that he has named Thor, which, perfect. He is Thor, Diana's Elektra, talking about these patients and how Elektra called out someone else's name while they were making love. Sam manages to piece together this puzzle. They have a great scene between each other where Frasier tries to talk sports in the most Frasier way possible. And I really, honest to God, I was watching that scene between Sam and Frasier and thinking, this is where Frasier locked up a full season. This is where Kelsey Grammer locked it down. That the rapport that he has between each other, the need you can see that he has to connect with Sam having some kind of weird relationship with this guy where he's like, I for some reason enjoy this person. I don't know why. I shouldn't, but we've got something in common, and we both love Diane, and that's a little bit of a bond, and I can tell that you want to like me. And Sam is that guy, and we've talked about this before, who is somehow very comfortable with other guys wanting to be his friend. And he identifies with that, and he accepts people that sometimes people of Sam's stature might not. And he makes them feel close to him, and that's kind of Sam's secret magic. And you see that happening there in that scene, and it's great. So I'm just delving into A story. No, I'm just going to do B story right after that. So the next day, Sam is reveling in the fact that he has this information. He is torturing Diane with it. Diane at first does not know what's going on. That is beautiful. I watched Sam and Diane doing their Tracy and Hepburn thing, and I was so happy to be in season 3. I can't even tell you. Just the jokes are tight. The fire is there. The crackle is there. The interplay is perfect. Diane realizes that Sam knows what happened. She's furious. Frasier comes in. They have it out in a very funny way. Frasier is convinced there's nothing there. Diane, after Frasier leaves, makes it seem like, oh, Sam, there is something here, isn't there? Kisses Sam, which, look, I understand why she was doing it, but not cool. After the kiss, Sam says, oh, Diane. Diane says, oh, Frasier. Huge response from the audience. I mean, they have to talk over the laughter because the laughter and applause is not stopping. And A story, just really wonderful. The B story, Cliff catches someone from the mail department sneaking perfume sample from a magazine. It's ridiculous. We find out that it is Lewis. He is deciding whether or not he should report Lewis, who is the man who came in to help protect him in the fight episode about a year ago. And he is at first going to, then he decides he's not going to. Then Carla calls him a chicken and says if it was a little guy, you'd do it. He does it in a very funny Swedish accent. Lewis comes in to ask Cliff to find out who got him fired. Lewis comes back the next day. Cliff has the name in an envelope. We are led to believe that the name is Cliff Clavin. Cliff actually seems like brave and says that, the person thought he was doing the right thing and he's terribly, terribly sorry. Lewis realizes it was Cliff. Lewis handles it like a gentleman and makes sure Cliff knows how lucky he was. Leaves. We find out that Cliff actually wrote another guy's name who has been in an accident recently in the envelope. Just a perfect sized B story, perfect characterization, great laughs, really, really, really well done, top to bottom. I loved it. Your thoughts?
I was thinking about what you said about the relationship between Sam and Frasier and how it does kind of like you can see the Frasier insinuating himself into the fabric of the show. And I realized one thing that the show hasn't had yet is somebody who exists in a more intellectual realm than Sam, who he can feel superior to or can express some kind of like power over. Like it's always in the past it's been Diane's ex fiance. It's always these avatars of like, oh, people who are going to make Sam feel bad about himself. And Frasier, Sam can feel good about himself when he's around Frasier because he's got he's got that, it feeds that competitive streak. He's got an in with his ex-girlfriend. There's this weird kind of like bond / competition over Diane that they have, and he can enjoy his company while at the same time having some status over somebody who is part of that Diane world that's not going to make him feel bad. Which I like. Yeah, I agree. You could sort of see, you could see him developing that relationship, and also like you could see that like that sort of hunger for competition, like kind of winning out and Sam and saying, I can live above this guy.
Yeah, I see that. I thought this was one of the best structured episodes we've seen in all the seasons so far. If that makes any sense. Like, it just worked. I did not not enjoy watching any moment on screen. I think the writing staff has finally hit its stride.
Yeah, it was nice to see them.
I agree completely.
Yeah, it was nice to see them.
I agree completely. Dave, go.
I agree as well. It was nice to see them give a B story as much meat as they did in this one. I think there's some stuff with Lewis that's obviously problematic, but the performances are great, and that scene between Lewis and Cliff, between Sam Scarborough and John Ratzenberger, is really, really terrific. It really pops, and Scarborough plays it beautifully. And it was nice to see like that story being given an actual little bit of an arc. Like the Cliff learns something over the course of this episode, which is rare, I think, for supporting character in a B story. Yeah. They usually, so often in the first two seasons, the B story, if there even is one, is a tacked on thing inside of the A story. There are little moments, there are references. This is a fully fleshed out, developed B story, and it feels like the writing staff just trusts that we want to spend time with the other characters in this amount. Just saying, no, we want this amount of time with Cliff. We want this amount of time with Norm. We want these B stories. And we've got enough attention. And it really worked. And yes, we do need to speak about the problematic nature of the Lewis storyline. But I also think it's kind of acknowledging, as I watched it and heard like Norm saying large black gentleman, it was like, oh, did we need to mention that? And we did not need to. We did not need to. But yeah, it's kind of Norm's failing. And
the fact that Lewis is clearly the best of all of the people in that B storyline and handled it the best emotionally. I like the resolution of that.
Yeah, and I was grateful that they gave space, that the B story wasn't just all about Cliff seemingly kind of growing up and addressing something head on for a change, but also about Lewis, having a justifiably angry response and letting us kind of like watch him work through it in real time and trusting that actor to show us the steps of like, I'm really upset, all the way to I'm going to walk away from this thing. It would have been very easy to sort of let it be a one note character, and Lewis is actually given a chance to kind of move through things, and Sam Scarber does it really, really clearly and really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh. Well, we got to keep this episode tight, but that I don't know if the writers were ahead of their time in that regard of like putting a person of color in that kind of situation and making him not give the patrons of the bar the satisfaction of being the quote angry black man. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so, but yeah, do you want to? We got time. Do you want to delve into it a little bit more?
Well, I mean, I think I look at it from like a personal standpoint as well, where I've been in a situation where I have been, wronged, and I have every justification to be pissed and go off. Mm-hmm. But if I do, it's like, oh well, of course she has an attitude. Of course she would. So it's like, wow, is the writing staff really thinking about this, or would they have written it for any other character who is tasked with being an imposing figure? Like, would they have written this kind of restraint for an Andre the Giant type?
Yeah. If it was a very large white guy, would he have been allowed to get a little more satisfaction for this guy getting him fired over nothing?
Right. Yeah. So that's something that I thought about, where it's like, is it really forward thinking in the writing, in the writer's room, or would this have been something that they would have done for any other kind of character? Who's to say? But having been in the situation where I cannot give people the satisfaction of getting angry, because then it just fulfills a stereotype. It's both a relief in a sense, where it's like, oh God, okay, no, he didn't go off, because we're not all like that. But it's also frustrating because he should be pissed. Yeah, he should beat Cliff's ass. So it's this push pull.
Yeah, it is. I think it was a storyline that was written very accurately at the time, and now we look at it and that is a lens you have to consider. It's like, hey, Lewis does not get the satisfaction he should. It's funny, it's well acted, but it leaves you going, man, Lewis gets screwed in this. Like, he comes out, spiritually ahead, but you don't pay your rent on spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things that I would expect from a worse show would be to check in with Norm at some point while Lewis is in the bar. And I was really glad we didn't get that. I didn't want to know about Norm's perspective. I didn't really want to know about Carla's perspective. I was glad that for whatever, I was glad that they stayed with Lewis the entire time, and at least let us kind of like watch his arc, because I don't care about what his effect is on the bar. Like, I'm more interested in like, is this guy going to be okay, and is he going to like, how is he going to navigate the situation? And he was allowed to sort of like be the star of that moment along with Cliff, as opposed to just like the scary thing that was in the bar. I was glad that they didn't completely go down that rabbit hole.
It's the name of our show, but I didn't miss Norm this episode. Didn't miss him.
Nope. I mean, the rest of it was really full. If we went 3 episodes with this little Norm, I feel like I'd miss him. But Every once in a while, you get an episode with very little Norm. That's okay. I'm all right with that. And he had a couple of good lines in the episode. He was present. It was there. Yeah, I mean, just why don't you split the difference and buy a beer? That was a fun line.
Mm-hmm.
He was there as much as he needed to be. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't think he could have been there more because it would have felt a little bit too weird. He was in that situation as much as he should have been.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say this really did like highlight, for as maybe progressive as Cheers is being, in some respect, it really does highlight how white this cast is and how with every opportunity to expand the cast, they never ever embrace a person of color into that inner circle. And that's really, I think, a discredit to the show. It's one of the things it has to kind of own at some point, even like later in its run, it certainly had the power and the ability to widen its scope a little bit, and it just never did.
Very true. At least they wrote out the racist old lady character from the pilot.
I was going to say that, the Sam Scarborough moment was like the opposite of that character.
Yep. The A story, really, really, it's reminding everybody what they loved so much about season 1, Sam and Diane. And the added sprinkle of Frasier on top of it is just perfect. It's really great. I loved everything about their interaction. I loved Frasier trying to talk Red Sox. I love that Sam didn't make him feel bad about not understanding the Red Sox. I loved that there's clearly they're acknowledging the dynamic that Sam is still in love with Diane, that the feelings are still there. We all knew it, but just the fact that it's there and they all have to pretend it's not, but they're acknowledging it is, it creates instead of is this happening? No, it's there. We're telling you it's there, and this is going to be a part of basically the rest of Diane's run. Mm-hmm. I feel like so many things got established in this episode. Just who Frasier is going to be with all these people, who Sam is going to be with Diane, as opposed to who he is with everyone else. It's just really, really, really tight writing, beautifully acted. Everything like Shelley Long does when she finds out that Sam knows this is so well done. The physical work that she does, the emotional stuff, the way she delivers all the lines, just really peak Cheers in the interaction between those three.
Yeah, it's super, super like it's all like I one thing I noticed is that like the Sam Diane stuff really does feel pretty mean. Like they are now free to really kind of be mean to each other in a way that like that's more fun to watch because they're not trying to salvage a relationship, but it's also it does have like a certain mean spirited to it, but it's fun to see Frasier get caught like a ping pong ball in the ocean just between them two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. Diane, because she's smarter than Sam, is capable of even more malice, but it's less painful to watch because it's like these two aren't tied to each other in the same way that they were when they were in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sam is choosing to be Excuse me. Yeah, it all feels okay because these are people who are not in a relationship with each other. And so in a weird way, all the banter feels like choices as opposed to, okay, you need to get out of this. It's like, look, everyone can be out of this anytime that they want, and they're clearly choosing to be there. So it does. And just all the mean stuff that Diane is saying is even more fun to enjoy because Sam doesn't mind any of it because he's got this information on her. So all the remarks in this one are so biting, but we're okay with them all. I mean, what is the line that I wrote down that I thought was so good? Oh, yeah, my joke of the week, where he feels like he knows something, and she says, I should have written this down better. I wrote the punchline down, and I didn't write the setup well. But just about how he has some information, and it stands out. She says, yes, much like a spot on an empty canvas. Really, really lovely. And it's a moment where if they were still dating, I would have felt bad for Sam. And now I didn't feel the least bit bad. I just got to enjoy every minute of it. It was great. It was great. Do you want to cover your jokes of the week? Should we go through some categories?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's.
All right, Tookie, what was your joke of the week?
Pertaining to the beef story, when Cliff talks about squealing on Lewis, Sam says, well, Lewis isn't exactly the kind of guy who drinks tea with his pinky sticking out. And Coach says, please, Sam, there are ladies present. I love that. I love that.
Yep. It was great. And I love that Sam doesn't even try to explain it. Just says, sorry, Coach.
Thank you. Yeah. Love that.
That was a wild moment. That was my favorite Coach moment of the whole run.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Dave, what's your joke of the week?
I didn't think that this episode was as funny as some others. Like I thought the jokes were fine, but it wasn't like a real screamer for me. So my joke of the week is actually a little bit more of like a moment that Shelley Long just kind of rings into joke territory. When they're talking, when she and Frasier and Sam are in the office, and Frasier is when they realize that Sam knows that she's yelled his name during lovemaking, and Frasier insists that he didn't say it, and that he says he must have deduced it somehow, and Shelley Long just looks at him and says, "Oh, please." It was one of the longer "oh pleases" I've ever heard, and I laughed out loud.
Yeah, it was very, very good. It's just nice to have the banter back.
Yeah,
it is very nice. Your 80s moment of the week.
I only have one, which is Sam's shirt.
Thank you. I don't see how it could be anything other than Sam's shirt.
Once I saw it, I couldn't. It's like a magic eye painting. I couldn't see anything else. Mm-hmm. It had those weird, like sort of like sewed on sleeves with like the overhanging kind of
like
cuff.
They're an aftermarket edition. Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
And I was wondering, like, oh, maybe this is the time, like, because I feel like Sam, like, has generally been pretty well put together to this point, and I was wondering, oh, maybe they're gonna like let him look a little bit more rumpled to really kind of play up the difference between him and Frasier. Frasier's always going to be so put together in these very sort of stodgy suits. I wonder if they're gonna like let Sam get a little bit more sort of like devil may care in his attire, because I feel like that's something that progresses as the seasons roll on. We see Sam looking a little bit more sort of rumpled and less sort of excitingly put together.
Yes, that's my 80s moment. I'm not even going to try to come up with an alternate. I mean, the shirt dominates everything.
I got to go back and rewatch. I didn't notice the shirt.
Oh,
I got to go back.
Oh, if you lived through that shirt, it hits you a different way.
Huh.
It is as formless as a garment can be and still look good on Ted Danson.
Huh. No, I got to go back and look now. Now yeah. So I have a couple 80s moments.
Great.
Okay. Reference to mailing a fruitcake, receiving a fruitcake in the mail. That feels very of a moment. That just stopped happening after the 90s. Like it was a joke still in the 90s, but it's not a thing that people did after like the mid 90s for sure.
I feel like Johnny Carson really kept that alive until he was done. Like that was a Carson go-to reference, was fruitcakes. Yeah.
So there's that. There's reference to, as we mentioned earlier, Lewis as a quote enormous black gentleman. Language tapes, learning language on cassette tape feels like an 80s moment. Reference to the dating game feels like an 80s moment. And a little bit of a controversial, and my final one for this week, a little controversial, but Cliff's patriotism, feeling a duty to America. That's just not something that's in vogue right now.
It depends on who you're asking.
Well, yeah, it depends on who you're asking.
I feel like Ratzenberger's answer would be very similar.
Right.
Yeah.
It depends on who you're asking, and for what reasons they're patriotic, quote unquote patriotic. Because there's patriotism, and then there's like what's the word? Being like a zealot or a jingo or some sort.
Jingoism.
Jingoism.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah. So patriotism today isn't what it was when it was a little bit more of a unified front back in the day. Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, we know where Cliff Clavin was on January 6th.
We
right?
do. Oh, we do.
He was on the TV rooting for them.
Yeah.
Cliff.
Yeah, no, he's not climbing anything.
Yeah, no.
Cliff wasn't there.
But he was there in spirit.
Oh gosh, yeah. Watching on One American News Network.
But he also definitely reported a couple folks.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Tiffany, how white was this episode?
It was white, but it wasn't that white. I counted some folks. I counted a good amount of folks. With the obvious exception of Lewis present in the episode. There was a Black woman passing behind Cliff from the payphones in the first scene while he laments the perfume sample that Lewis had stolen. I mean, it's a perfume sample. It's really not that deep. And then the third scene, there was a Black woman in a gray blazer by Carla. She had like a gray blazer and a blue silky undershirt thing. Very, very classy, stylish. I noticed that. And she was sitting down behind Carla. Behind Diane was another Black woman in like a gray and lavenderish patterned sweater. And by the back wall where Diane was, and another I think Black man sat down next to, no, it was a woman. A woman sat down next to the other woman in the gray blazer and blue shirt. So a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Lewis. It's a good amount. Yeah.
All right. And a nice featured moment for Lewis. So
yeah.
That was good. The Sam creepy quotient this week. Yeah. It's tough to gauge this week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's tough to gauge because he's not creepy with any woman other than Diane, and it's their thing. And Diane, it can be argued, was the most creepy of anybody.
Yeah.
Calling out the ex's name and also kissing the ex just to get one up on him. We got to delve into this a little bit deeper. That's why I wanted to save this for the last category and let us chew a little bit of this meat off the bone. Like, I'm sorry. I know you want to get one up on Sam, and somehow you're so sure that he's going to say your name, and then you can say Frasier, and good for you. Like, that's a full, deep kiss.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. Am I wrong?
No, she got the fingers and the hair. Like, it's like stuff is happening.
Oh, yeah.
You don't kiss an ex like that.
Yeah, no. So to me, Sam's creepy quotient is very low this week. The Diane creepy quotient, quite high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sam, I'd grade Sam on a curve because he's never not going to creep. But this week, I would say he's at a 6.3. Mostly because he was lured into the creep. Like, he kept it in his pants this episode,
right.
Pretty much.
Yes.
It wasn't until...
no one he creeped on. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't until he was, Diane being the succubus she can be at times. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until, he got...
And it was genuine emotion on Sam's part.
Yeah.
That's why perhaps I'm being too generous. I'm at a 2.4.
I think we need to remember that when asked if it's common for people to cry out other people's names during intercourse, Sam responds with, well, who listens?
Fair.
And I have the stereo turned up, and I have other things on my mind. Which I think you gotta start. I mean, I think that answer by itself just kind of lays the groundwork already at a 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you make the argument that he's saying whatever you need to shout is completely okay, and I'm not going to get hung up on my masculinity. I'm just going to let you say whatever you need to say while Hall & Oates plays in the background. I'm making the case.
Don't bring Hall & Oates to this. That's we have a name for one of the members in my household. Daryl Pussy God.
Oh, we do?
Hall. Oh yeah. Because he was swimming in it back in the day.
Whoa.
So we don't bring Hall & Oates into the situation. Say, I don't know, say Lionel Richie. Replace that with Lionel Richie instead, please. For the sake of
Lionel.
For the sake of the purity of this podcast.
It's probably Johnny Mathis.
Oh God.
See, I always imagined it was going to be like jazz or something, like he's listening to Herb Alpert or something.
Huh.
I feel like Sam needs lyrics.
You really think it's words that motivate him?
I think Sam just feels like if there's no words, something's missing. I don't think he can find the all jazz station.
So maybe the girl from Ipanema would do it.
There you go.
Okay, some bossa nova. Okay.
Yep. Lionel Richie could definitely be there. Although Lionel occasionally expresses regret. I don't know if that's going to be in Sam's oeuvre.
Hello is about regret?
He's got songs about regret.
Okay.
Is Hello at all regretful? And obviously the video is regretful.
The video.
What a piece of work that is. Whew.
Oh my gosh. That
could be its own episode. Oh man.
That's its own podcast. That's a 10 episode podcast deal with Stitcher.
You want to talk about something that I used to think was romantic as hell and has aged horribly. Lionel Richie's Hello video.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know. Ableism is hot.
All right. Man.
Someone's going to take this clip out of context.
Ableism is hot.
Yeah. Someone's going to take that clip out of context and I will be canceled.
Oh, just when you thought you were hosting Jeopardy.
Oh boy, that's a rough break, Tookie.
Damn.
You were right there.
I'm sorry. I should have said sarcasm font in front of that beforehand.
All right. Do we have any final thoughts before we wrap up? I Call Your Name.
Strong. I think finally these episodes. Well, I don't want to jinx it and speak too soon, but I'm enjoying season. We're only 3 episodes in, and yet it feels like I've been watching 22. Mm-hmm. These are strong episodes.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a really good, like I thought, as you said earlier, an establishing episode after the turmoil of like episodes 1 and 2, where things are really kind of like all over the place, and emotions are really, really high, and people are actually kind of in danger. This was like a nice, like sort of establishment of what the new stasis is going to look like, or the new normal is going to look like, where there is this sort of funny triangle, and people can be hurtful, but it's actually not going to hurt in the way that it hurt in season 2, because they're not trying to preserve the relationship. Yeah, this was I was like, oh, this is the template for where we're going this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You feel like the producers, the directors, the writers are all doing exactly what they want to do this season. Yeah, this is all like, all right, this is all our favorite stuff. These are all the relationships, the way that we like them. Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's going to be fun. I am excited for the whole season. I am very excited to see them writing around Carla and Diane's pregnancies.
Oh.
Yep, both Shelley Long and Rhea Perlman got pregnant at almost the exact same time. And they had to decide how to handle it. And they wrote Carla's pregnancy, or Rhea Perlman's pregnancy, into the show in what is going to be a very fun episode, as I recall. And then they decided that they just did not want to deal with the Diane pregnancy, and they just put her behind the bar a lot and just did that thing that they did on 80s sitcoms sometimes where they just put a lot of bags in front of women who are having babies.
Well, my favorite pregnant woman who gets troped up on a sitcom, Cece on The Nanny.
I never watched an episode of The Nanny.
Oh, gut punch.
I am sorry.
Oh, no. I used to watch it with my aunt all the time. Hard relate to Fran Fine and her wardrobe. But also, yeah, if you ever go back and watch like a YouTube compilation of all the moments when they joked about Cece Babcock's obvious pregnancy, where they have like, a big, huge bag in front of her and they write like obvious bag.
Who is Cece Babcock?
The foil to Fran Fine on the sitcom.
Oh, okay.
Who also vies for Mr. Sheffield's affection.
Gotcha. I only really knew that show. So obviously it was a big show. So I knew of Fran Drescher and that. But I remember that show as being somewhat significant in my house because we were an NBC soap opera house and the British guy was on Another World. And it was very exciting that he was getting a primetime break and being the co-lead on this network show. And he later popped up on Mad Men.
Did he?
He did. He was one of the people in charge of the British advertising agency that buys Sterling Cooper.
Huh.
And for the life of me, I cannot remember his name.
Charles Shaughnessy.
Charles Shaughnessy. There you go.
Yeah.
Good on you, Chuck. You did it, buddy. You did it.
You have a lot of nanny information at your fingertips. I'm very impressed.
It's it just really sang to my Jewish half, that show. Love that show.
Yeah.
It must have hit me in my Christian half because I never watched it.
I love that. It missed Dave completely, and Tookie was just there with a babka, enjoying it every Monday night.
Every Monday. I was there.
All right. Have we got anything to plug this week?
I'll be in Manchester tomorrow. That's a thing.
Sure.
It's cool. It's going to be a good time.
Where are you in Manchester? How can people go and see you?
The Ruby Room at the Shaskeen.
Very nice.
Yeah, if you're in the New Hampshire area, Wednesday night they have a fantastic show every week, carrying on the legacy of the showrunners past.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is when a comedy show named after a room moves and keeps the name of the old room.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things, like the Hideout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, no, you're not at the Hideout anymore. But all right.
It just works. Just works.
Oh, God, I miss the Hideout. I miss that old room. Oh, it was such a delightful room.
Yeah.
Dave, and you got your concert, but it's happening. You plugged that last week, and this is going to be out afterwards. So do you have anything else to plug?
I have nothing else to plug at the moment.
All right. I got nothing going on in my life. So I have nothing to plug.
I guess if you have stuff that you want Mike or I to do, I guess we're sort of available. America.
Yeah. Book these guys.
I'm back.
You're back? Oh, okay.
I was gone. Was Dave promoting us?
Yes.
Yeah, we're available for personal appearances. If you need an officiant at a wedding.
Ooh.
Whatever's going on. You just need someone to bring you in at your birthday party. We're here.
Yeah. Drive you around the block.
Sure.
We're both. I can drive a stick.
Ooh, that's a life skill that does not exist anymore. That's a rare talent.
I can also drive a stick. And yeah, I think Dave and I were talking recently about that's a skill that's going to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a very specific skill set. It's hard to find because you can't even. Used to be, it was all right, high-end sports cars still have the stick, but they don't have them anymore. They've got the paddle shifters.
What?
Yeah.
That's what they call automatic?
No. Automatic is automatic.
Okay.
Paddle shifters is, so it's on the steering wheel. They're little paddles. And basically, instead of having the gear shifter down here, I'm acting it out poorly for the camera. You actually can shift the gears up on the steering wheel.
Huh.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. But I don't think those cars have a clutch. So it's a different experience.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the clutch is the challenging part. That's what makes, driving a stick hard.
Keeping your foot on it?
The clutch? Well, no,
Yeah.
you got to time it. So it's knowing when to release the clutch so that you don't stall the car out.
Oh, screw that. I'm driving automatic forever.
It's a delicate tango.
When Tookie does drive, it will be an automatic
Yep.
forever.
It sure will. It sure will.
When my 2006 Scion XB slammed to a halt in Cumberland, Rhode Island, I knew that was the end of the standard era.
Mhm.
Damn.
My last experience driving a stick, I think, was my Saturn in LA.
You have a stick in LA?
Yeah, have I not told that story?
Brave.
I was broke in LA and I had to buy a car, and it was for $1,000. I got a Saturn that was not terrible, but it was a stick and did not have air conditioning, which is why it was so cheap, because those are the two worst traits for a car to have in Southern California. I still can't believe, and I drove it for, I think, like a year and a half, and it died. But I asked a lot out of it. I also drove that car cross country twice.
Oh.
That's
So I
a lot
drove
for a
this
Saturn.
$1,000 cross.
For a
I
Saturn?
drove it back to do a play, and I drove it back to get dumped, and then it died. Yep. That Saturn, I saved 15 months, but it was $1,000 and at least 30,000 miles, and I begrudged that Saturn nothing.
No, you guys, you're square.
Yep. But I got an automatic Chevy Malibu with air conditioning after that, and it felt like a Lexus.
Okay.
I can't even tell you how happy I was to have an automatic with air conditioning. My heart fluttered. It was very important to me.
I've never, it's been 16 months since I've seen absolute joy play across your face the way it just did at that memory.
I need to remember that more. It's the happiest I've been in a while.
That is your happy place.
Yep, the front seat of my Chevy Malibu. I think it was, what was that, 99? 2000? Something like that. I'm trying to think. I paid like $5,000 for it in 2005. So, yeah, that car probably would have been about 4 or 5 years old. That would have been the value of it. Worth every penny. Worth it all.
This has been brought to you by Chevy Malibu.
Please sponsor us, please.
If you'd like to buy a car that doesn't exist anymore, may I recommend the Chevy Malibu? All right. So we are putting this one in the books. It was a very fun episode. I'm very excited for the future in season 3. And that's it. Leave your comments. We always respond to them. For Dave, for Tookie, I'm Mike. Thanks for being here with us this week. Stay safe. Stay happy. We'll see you in a week. Bye, everybody.